Welcome to another episode of Uncensored Daily Radar, where your fellow foiled friend scans the entire globe for what may or may not be artificial and nefarious activity. We go through satellite radar as well as the zippity zip zap radar, aka NEXRAD, to better understand atmospheric and environmental conditions in full context. Before we get started, there are a few things that you should know. Number one, I am not, I repeat, I am not a meteorologist, but I am a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, which obviously makes me far more qualified to analyze atmospheric conditions. Number two, videos are fairly short, but feel free to skip ahead to any section you're most interested in. And lastly, if you'd like to see these Daily Radar videos, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. Otherwise, this video is about to reach a paywall and will pause right now. Now. Okay. All right, let's get started.
Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Uncensored Daily Radar. It is August 27th at about 11 p.m. Guys, I'm a little, shook. I went through my old shows to see what I was saying about India before certain events happened. And check this out. This is July 31st of this year.
Looks like there's a lot of trails actually right here heading into... Like I might be going crazy.
Whoops.
I'm not going crazy. Or am I? It looks like there's a lot of trails actually right here heading into India. This is very unusual. So unusual, in fact, that I'm inclined to say that these are contrails. There are a ton. And I'm seeing the cloud cover decrease with their presence. Heck, maybe there's something going down in India over the next 72 hours. Let's keep a lookout. If India spontaneously breaks out into this wicked flooding spree and they go to war or whatever, we'll know that there was something up with this. But I'm sure we got to manifest.
That was July 31st. I had said that I thought maybe they were contrails because of how many there were. There were so many, and you watch the show. We never see trails over India. And then on the 5th, of August.
Yeah, there are some trails in here. Yeah, there are some trails.
So there were still trails there on the 5th. This is before I saw the news. Remember, that was the huge flood in India that happened. That happened on the 5th. It was outrageously bad. This is an older article. This is from that day. 4 were confirmed dead, 50 missing. This was like North Carolina level flooding that happened. I said a few days before, let's watch out for a crazy flooding event in India. And then there was one. And I would say that's a coincidence, but check this out. This was August 24th, 3 days ago.
That's odd. I'm seeing a ton of trails here. And this is in that area where I have been seeing some, but they normally are very obviously contrails. And there's one thing about these trails that makes me think they aren't. Why I think they are contrails is because they're in little pieces all over the place. And there's a lot of them. I mean, a lot of them. The reason why I think they look more like chemtrails is that they're high altitude, they're spreading out, hazing out, and then dropping in altitude. I know that because they start off black and now they're turning red. These are starting off dark blue. Oh no, these are more black. It's hard to tell sometimes. But either way, they're changing levels because they're changing color. I don't know. Looks like there's something going on here. And India had this happen the day before. They had crazy flooding a few weeks back.
That's what I just showed you before this video.
And I definitely took note of that because I never see anything going on over India. But I did then. And then I saw the flooding happen. Looks like we've got some trails here too. And yeah, all over this area. Over here. It's all happening all over here, but not over here. Yeah, I'm curious to know what kind of news comes out of this area over the next 48 hours. If there's any kind of excessive flooding happening in China or India or any of these countries here. All right,
That was August 24th. This is August 26th.
I very rarely see chemtrails over India. I've maybe seen it twice. The first time, I don't remember any news articles coming out about anything happening. The second time is when India flooded. I mean, it was huge news. And then again, it was before the Pakistan floods. And I do believe there are trails over India today.
Okay, that was yesterday. And check out the news. Even bigger flood happened yesterday and today. 34 dead. Over 210,000 in Pakistan are displaced. Intense rains have left 34 people dead, lashing parts of Pakistan and India, triggering flash floods and landslides. It forced India to release the water from their dams, which is now rushing into Pakistan. Guys, how, and I'm going to make a video on this, how am I'm not a meteorologist. How am I able to look at satellite and say things like, let's watch this area for some kind of catastrophic flooding event. Catastrophic flooding events should be rare. They shouldn't be predictable based off of lines I see in the sky. And yet, that's what's happening. Now, what would be the reason? Well, India and Pakistan went to war recently. And maybe India's trying to flood them out. I don't know. I don't know what the reason is. I don't know what the reason for any of this is, but I do know that I saw unusual activity over India to the point where I thought of really mentioning it and saying, let's watch the news over the next 48 to 72 hours and see if any kind of catastrophic flooding occurs in this area. Let's hope not. 2 times. 2 times. That'd be crazy if I did it once. I did it twice. I shouldn't be able to do that. These things should not be predictable. And if I can see it, you better bet other people are seeing it too. Meteorologists should I believe they watch this stuff every day. There's no way I'm the only person seeing this pattern. These people, there are people who do this all the time as their job, to look over everything all the time. They have to be finding these patterns too. Why aren't they saying anything? I don't know, guys. I can't believe that 2 insane floods came right after the 2 times I saw those trails. Excessive trails coming over India. It's kind of scary. I normally don't get freaked out by this stuff because I've been watching it since I was 7, but it gets pretty darn real when you see patterns like this. All right, despite my shookness, I want to get into the show. I'm just going to quickly look through NextRad, and then we'll get into news, and then we'll come back to NextRad to do an in-depth thing. I just want to see what happened last night and what's going on tonight. Hold on, let's bring this out more. All right, last night, yeah, so the focus was more on the eastern side, a little bit less in the central side, actually. Make sure you watch this without a night shift filter, without any blue light filters. This is going to block all the interesting stuff. So yeah, lately it was more so central, but it's really moved back over to the east. At night, sorry guys, every single glow you see here is a NextRad radar station. The official statement is that it's simply there to be Doppler radar, help us with tracking systems, forecasts, things like that. The conspiracy theory is that these towers are equipped with far more than just Doppler, that they are capable of manipulating the weather in various ways, one of which would be to emit high amounts of microwave radiation into the atmosphere. And, you know, with enough towers doing that at once, you can actually heat up the atmosphere in that area, which can create high pressure, it can heat up those areas, making them obviously hot. You can cause droughts, dehydrate areas, make them more prone to wildfires. But also, when you do that, you make a high pressure zone. And a high pressure zone is something that low pressure systems avoid. Low pressure systems being storms, rain, things like that. So if you put, let's say, a high pressure zone right here, the low pressure system would avoid it. It would either drop all its rain here, it would get stuck, or it would, if it could, move up and around it. So you can steer storms with high pressure zones if you create them artificially. And because they do it naturally, they avoid them naturally. And some people think that they can also be used as direct energy weapons, even transmitting certain frequencies to manipulate humans themselves, life. You know, I think bees are dropping dead. Bees are dropping like flies. It's disgustingly sad, but they are dropping in enormous numbers. And people are saying it's the pesticides. It's the pesticides. Yeah, pesticides are definitely part of the blame, but there's been an exponential decline over the last 4 years. If anything, our pesticide use has gone slightly down. I don't think that's the reason why all these bees are dropping dead. I think a lot of it actually has to do with the frequency manipulation. I think, you know, when they're exposed to certain amounts of EMFs, they forget where they are. They forget how to get back to their hive. I think that's more so what's going on. And I think the media is blaming pesticides because this is a much bigger story. This is a much more damning story. Okay, let's move into news. I don't know why I always say that. I think it's because that's my job. You know, I'm a journalist, but it's not news. We're getting into weather warnings first, and we're going to look at the statistics. Not the statistics, the numbers. Why isn't this loading? Do we not have other? No, there's no way. There we go. It just didn't propagate on time. All right, let's check out weather warnings. Looks like we have some flood watches over by Tampa and Sarasota, Florida. A flood watch, wow, it's in the same spot as yesterday. Right between South Carolina and Georgia, another area in Georgia, eastern Georgia. Again, still in Myrtle Beach in, South Carolina. One little part of West Virginia has, that's a frost warning. Why did they use that? Oh, interesting. I hope I didn't make a mistake yesterday. There was a whole area that was loaded with that particular icon. It's gone now. Darn it. Yeah, I got to click on those from now on to make sure. I thought they put a snowflake for frost warnings. Guess they may have switched it. But frost warning in West Virginia. We still have some beach hazards around the Great Lakes. Still. High wave action, dangerous currents. That's been around these lakes for, all week. We have another flood warning in eastern Iowa. southern Minnesota still, sporadic places on the eastern portion of South Dakota. We have a lot of flood warnings in between Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri. And also southwestern Kansas. We have a lot of flood watches going on in Idaho, or a little tiny portion of eastern Oregon, northern Nevada, and northeastern California. And we have continued red flag warnings going on in northern California, western Oregon, and northwestern Washington, with also a flood watch in northern Washington. We should have air quality alerts here, but U.S. has pretty poor standards for air quality. You can see that Canada is giving an air quality warning. This is a line separating two countries with different standards. If Canada's got a warning here, I would say the air quality here is probably pretty bad. We'll get to that in a minute. So that's what we got going on right now. And these are the extreme weather warnings. Not weather warnings, but these are just the extremes of weather. So this is temperature. So we got majorly cold in the blue and majorly hot in the greens and pinks. See over here. Extreme cold over here. Look at that. It has been pretty cold over here, people have been saying. So that makes sense why we're seeing that. And wind with unusually calm and extremely windy. The lakes are really windy. I just wonder, why is that? Why is it so windy right here for about a week now? And then extreme rain. Extreme rain. That's what the extreme cold is too. Huh. I wonder why there's no snow. I just want to look over at India real quickly. Okay. We have no tropical developments that pose a risk to the United States. Ferdinand is already on its way out. And Juliet. Let's see what your Oh, no. Man, it's still going north. This thing should be going northwest. It's like the wind is going this way. It normally goes that way. And these hurricanes normally go up and away. So I'm waiting for it to go up and away. This thing better not go anywhere near Southern California because they can't handle a hurricane. Yeah, this is one to watch out for, I think. We'll have to check that out for trails. Last time we saw it, I didn't see any trails around it, which is good. But I also wonder if, if the U.S. is responsible for the trails, it's possible Mexico's like, you are not doing that off our coastline for this hurricane. Because, I wonder what happens to this hurricane once it gets past the U.S.-Mexican border. I do hope it goes south very soon. All right, here's air quality. Yeah, it's bad over here. It's bad over here. Now there's a fire here and here and here. So it's interesting because this area of Canada is actually giving their air quality warning because of a U.S. fire. And the air quality is so much worse here. There's no warning here, but there's a warning here. So bad air quality over here. And not very good over here. I don't find this acceptable. The whole freaking country should be green. Oof. Africa. Come on. Oh, that's from dust. This is the Saharan dust. Yeah. Even China's got better air quality than us right now. Shouldn't that say something? China? Better air quality than the U.S.? Tisk, tisk. And this area has been questionable to me. I've been seeing bad air quality over here for a while. And usually it's the ozone that's responsible for that. And I don't know what the heck's causing it. Ooh, the ozone, whatever wherever that ozone's coming from, it's going more southeast. This was all up here, and now it's kind of below. So this portion of the country is getting a bit of a break. This area is bad, but that's from the fires. Nitrogen dioxide, it gets highest at night, I believe. But everything's kind of bad right now. Honestly, guys, I can't remember between nitrogen dioxide and sulfur dioxide that moves. Sulfur dioxide's high over here too. High over here. Ozone, thankfully, has gone south. Nitrogen dioxide's very high over here, and PM 2.5. This is that tiny little particulate. So it's bad over here from the fires. I don't know why it's bad over here. The UK looks great with PM 2.5. Kazakhstan. Alaska looks fantastic. Man, Canada's huge. My gosh. All right, and I'm just checking out the pressure map. Remember what we talked about with high pressure zones? Well, this entire portion of the country is lit up by NEXRAD. So I want to see how it correlates with the high pressure zone. The red is the high pressure zone. This area is also pretty high pressure. I would say 3 days ago it was more central. Let's go back 3 days. Yeah, see, the NEXRAD towers were more active here, less active right here, and then the day after it started shifting more east. Interesting. Isn't it? And this is the smoke map. I'm starting to wonder how accurate this thing is. I mean, this is the only fire and smoke map that's like this. This whole area should be covered in smoke, but it's showing that it's there, and Canadian wildfire smoke is kind of coming down a little bit south. And it's probably the reason why this is here. I don't know why. Oh, well, yeah, the wind is going that way, so that makes sense. Yeah, but there's some fires over here, so that's responsible for that. Yeah, so that's where the smoke is moving, supposedly. And these are the earthquakes that have happened over the last 24 hours. And there's another one in South Carolina that happened today. They've been getting a whole lot over here over the last couple of weeks for some reason. Very odd. Oof, I just turned my night shift filter off and everything is so blue. I have a red filter, so my whole screen is usually pretty red, but I turn it off just for you guys. Actually, no, I turned it off for me because I need to see. That was last night. And then I'm going to scroll down. Let's see more detailed view of just today. Okay, so, a lot of that static NEXRAD, and that's a big area to see that in. And it moved from east to west down to Texas. Lots of it still in Illinois. That stopped. That lasted for about a few hours. And then in Illinois, it continued for another couple of hours. California's still doing that thing. They've been, the towers at night get more sensitive, so you'll see more color, but not as much as this. For those of you who are new, this is very abnormal. You're not You don't normally see this much blue and that much green, especially over here in New York. That's interesting. At night, they'll maybe look like that. Mostly gray, not mostly blue. Certainly not mostly green, or have any green, really. California's been doing this zip-zap thing since before their fires started. Yeah. Let's zoom in. I'm curious to see trail activity here. It's not looking super blurry, but at times it kind of does. Let's see. Actually, I want to see now. Yep. Guys, I shouldn't be able to do this. I shouldn't be able to look at Nextrad and see where trails are. Now, it's hard to see trails when there's a ton of like other layers of clouds in there, but they're there for sure because you can sometimes see them pop through the clouds. See all these lines? You can see them really clearly where there aren't all these clouds. Line, 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 line. Yeah. Yeah, there's trails there. You know how I know that? It's because of how it looks blurry. I mean, it's because I look at this so frickin' much that I can see the difference. But like, see how this looks more crisp, higher resolution, sharper. It looks sharper. This doesn't look so sharp. It's kind of blurry. It's spread out. It's kind of hazy looking compared to something like this. It's not that it's wider. It's that it's all kind of similar. Like this has yellow and some red and orange in it. The chemtrail stuff usually has mostly green and it's spread out. Lots of activity over here, which is unfortunate because if it does contribute to fires, well, that's not going to help because the fires are all over here. And these towers are periodically doing a lot of interesting things. So the zip zaps that are in Southern California, those have been 24/7 nonstop happening, but not from both towers. Well, usually from the couple down here, but we're seeing this tower here also doing the spiral zip zaps, and they're doing it every couple of hours. So like it's doing it, stop. And it comes back on. This one here I'm talking about. This one's always spinning and doing its thing. I'm talking about the second one. And it was really doing it intensely before that Arizona dust storm. And I thought that was super weird. We're going to check out the central area on its own. That's why I was looking mostly on the coast. And as usual, at around 11 o'clock UTC, we start to see radial pulses emanating from something that is not a tower. Not towers. Not Nextrad towers. I think they're cell towers. They're all over the country. And this started maybe 2 months ago. But they're coming out of everywhere now. See all these little circles all over the place? Circle, 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 circle. They're little ones all over. Boop. This is unusual. Usually when we see this, it means that the area is going to get really, really dry. But also it can mean that there's a ton of chemtrails overhead, and that's what it's picking up. It's like metal in a microwave. Let's see actually if there's trails, heavy trails over. Yeah. All over here actually. Yeah, this is recent too. This was this morning. Lots of trails, actually. Crazy amount is left directly over Illinois. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, so this area got hit by a ton of trails. That could be what this is picking up. Again, I shouldn't be able to frickin' know that. Lots of activity here. We've been seeing that on and off lately. That is a lot, though. That is excessive. It's because it's doing the same thing. Lots and lots of trails over here earlier today. It's about to start over. Yep. In fact, all right, I just lined up the timelines. So this is around 10:30 UTC. This is around 10:50 UTC. And then let's see when this stops. Well, actually, the sun is about to rise, which means the towers will stop being so sensitive. So they really wouldn't show that during the day unless there was something really crazy going on. But yeah, sunrise causes them to be less sensitive, so they're not going to pick up the trails in the same way that they would at night. So that's calming down around 1500 UTC. Let's go to 1500 UTC here. Yeah, that's around here. Oh, well, actually. Yeah, so they're there. They get laid up here still, but then they stop. Yeah, at around 1500 UTC. Oh, crazy. All right, we're in the central portion of the U.S. Lots of towers are flickering in and out of transmitting to the server. Again, all this blue-green is abnormal from the towers. It's too much. And the fact that some of them are going out, that's also strange. This looks blurry. Oh, we already talked about that. Yeah, I said I think there's probably trails over here because of how these clouds look. But we already did confirm there are trails here. And there's also that rippled radar too. Right here. But I only see it once, and it doesn't look like that classic crazy rippled radar. I only see it once, and it's not shooting into any storm over and over again. So that was probably a genuine artifact. I call it rippled radar because it looks like a ripple in the radar. The official statement is that it's just a glitch, a reflection off of birds or insects. They call it an artifact. It's not actually present in the physical world. My argument is that maybe some of these are actually frequency manipulation, which we can actually see in the clouds themselves. Whenever you see these, when they look abnormal, the clouds will also take on the shape of this. It looks like a frequency was pulsed right through the clouds. But as I'm saying, I only see that there really that one time. And that doesn't really look crazy to me. I'm going to actually go right here and see what's going on. Yeah, this looks like trails are here, coming in through here. Man, Nextrite is doing a lot today. That one also had some rippled radar, but only a couple of times. Let's see if there were trails over like Oklahoma, Nebraska, that kind of area. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at all that. That's disgusting. Hey, these are kind of classic looking chemtrails, guys. I'm just realizing. Since the Iranian missile strike, the trails have looked quite different. They haze out a lot. These are hazing out, but They're very defined. And there's a lot. This is probably one of the most traily days that we have seen since the Iranian missile strike. There's a lot of them here. All right, Texas. Yeah, we're seeing this area lit up during the day, which means there's something pretty powerful happening here, because normally you see the towers really reveal what's going on at night, but they're revealing during the day. So there must be something really present here. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Let's see what trails are doing in southeastern Texas. Yeah, this is that thing that looked weird on NextRad. I'm not seeing any obvious trails, but there could be some in here that I can't see because the wind is moving pretty quickly. Yeah, this area looks weird to me. And it's just kind of spinning in place too. It looks kind of got that cloudy haze stuff that normally comes after trails. So there could be trails in here that I'm just not seeing. Or another tinfoil hat theory is there's a lot of people that talk about cloud production, like from ships and things like that. How because there are cloud generators; those totally exist. So there could be these could be cloud generators where they don't appear like lines; they appear like balls of cloud shooting out from one area. All right, to recap, California's still going crazy. This area looks weird with trails. Their air quality is terrible. The eastern portion of the U.S. is once again pretty active with NextRad, in addition to the central portion. We have a ton of trails coming across here, which could be responsible for all of this pretty interesting NextRad activity. And still, Texas is continuing to show some power behind those towers even during the day. And that's either that the towers are emitting a lot of power, right? Or they're detecting something in the air. Or both. All right, so there are trails here going through Florida, as we talked about. And these are kind of coming out here and making all these lots of clouds here in the Atlantic. And we have lots of trails over here. Lots of trails all through here, all through here. My gosh, so many in the central U.S. A ridiculous amount of them coming all through here. Look at all that. Oh, gross, gross. Look at all that. And hello, all over here. Coming from Canada, too. Canada does a lot of trailing. Their trails never really changed. They've always been this high altitude, super defined. And you can tell altitude based off of the color key down here, with black being the highest, purple being the lowest. I'll probably bring this up here so you can see. My face is really big right now. Yeah, Canada's still doing their trailing over here, which this is where all their fires are, and lots of trails over here that are hazing out and coming into the U.S. Look at all that. Trails shouldn't thicken and then create clouds. See what I mean? Look at all these trails. Boom, 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 boom. And cloud. Haze over there. Clouds over here. Trail, 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 trail. Thick clouds, clouds, clouds coming all over. All right, we zoomed in. Let's zoom out. Loads of trails all over here. Interesting stuff going on over here. Interesting stuff going on over here. And Canada's got a lot going on. Some up here in the Atlantic. Fernand also has trails around it. You know, interesting idea. Chemtrails can also be used to stop storms because too much particulate in the air will prevent rainfall. It is interesting that you see a ton of trails appear and then the storm completely breaks apart. See that? And here are the trails, and the storm kind of breaks apart. And there's contrails out here. This is the difference. See? Contrail. Completely disappears. They're short too, and they're faint. They are very different from these black ones that spread out. Yeah, very traily day today. One of the most traily days I've seen since the Iranian missile strike. Mexico's got nothing going on. Let's check this hurricane here, though. We'll get a different view when we switch satellites, but... Come on, load. I'm not seeing anything around it, so that's good. I'm loading a crazy amount of data. I didn't load it for Mexico or South America, so it might get a little glitchy. I normally don't see anything here, though, so I'm just... If I see something... Okay, so there's... I saw some contrails here. I know they're contrails because... I mean, look at the difference. Load. So you're going to see a couple of faint lines appear here, and then you're going to see them gone instantly. Boop, gone. No trace. Very different from the kind of stuff we see in the US. Oh, great. You're glitching now too? All right, I'm going to load less. Oh, wait, it just started right when I hit pause. Black, look at that. And then they actually form clouds. All right. I don't see anything over South America, with the exception of those couple of contrails there. All right, let's switch satellites. And we're going to see about an hour and 40 minutes worth of time. Oh, never mind. I was able to load about 7 hours worth of time. Every single movement you see is about 20 minutes apart. Sorry, my face is so huge. I kind of broke my fiber cable that goes straight to my computer. I have another one coming, but if I move it even like a quarter of an inch in the wrong direction, I lose the internet. So I have to lean all the way over to my computer. It's in the middle of my table because I'm afraid to move it closer to me because I don't want to lose connection in the middle of recording. I slammed it in the slider. I didn't know it was in the slider. Oh, and I crushed it. I'm not seeing any trails on the outskirts of the storm. I wouldn't be able to see any inside because the wind is so strong. Hawaii looks good. I'm going to load less time if this keeps not loading. Ooh, what is going on here? Smoky looking. Yeah, these are trails. This is the stuff that these trails leave behind now. It looks like this weird dirty haze. See all that? That's trails. Those are trails. I'm not seeing any trails over... Oh, no, there's trails here. There's probably trails over Alaska. I'm only seeing the evidence of them right here, though. There's a lot of different cloud layers here, so it's kind of hard to differentiate. What is this? Where are you going? All right, I'm watching this. This has trails in it. It looks pretty darn big. And what is the wind on here? All right, it doesn't look bad on here. It's definitely spinning, but it's not got any crazy high winds. But I'm definitely going to pay attention to this heading into California as well. Yeah, this is weird. I gotta wonder who's doing that. Is that the US or is that China or Russia? Whatever it is, it's getting left and it's coming right into Alaska and over into Canada. All right, now this is the last. Oh, this is also the last 7 hours worth of time. Cool. Well, looks like today might be a day that Australia does have some chemtrails. I know they do it every once in a while. The Aussies were telling me to look out. You know, they're a little wispy, but I don't really see obvious trail. I think this is more just like wispy clouds. And normally when I see chemtrails, it's in the southern region. That's where they seem to do it the most. Normally, I breeze by this area and I don't see anything, but there are trails here. The question is, are they contrails or what? These could very well be contrails, but I do see trails here and I normally don't. Yeah, and that's over Singapore. I need India to load. It'll catch up. I'm seeing some over here in Russia where I normally see them, and looks like we might have some over here in China, but it only looks like that for a second. I don't see any obvious plane lines. Those are probably not trails. And those are those weird, disgusting looking trails over here that are coming over to the US. I mean, to Alaska. Nothing over here. Come on, India. You can do it. All right. Now remember, they still have the flooding issue. Okay, so see this kind of smoky looking stuff? I think there are trails in here, even if I can't see them clearly, because I see the remnants of them breaking up. Come on, I just gotta see if there's just one. There's so much stuff here, it's hard to actually see lines, if there are any. Okay, no, I think I saw some. We'll switch satellites, but looks like you can see some obvious ones right there. And I think there's some over here too. And yeah, and over here. These could be contrails though. See how there's lines and then they're gone really fast? And it looks like there's actually less cloud cover after they're left instead of more. Those could be contrails. All right, let's check. All right, well, there's obvious contrails here, but I often see those here and then they completely dissipate by the time they're over Africa. So either someone is trying to really get some trails over here, like trail haze over here, but I'm not seeing any trail haze here. It disappears. So I do see some contrails here, probably contrails. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything crazy obvious over India like I was before. What I'm seeing looks more typical of contrails. Nothing over India as usual. I'm sorry, Africa. Looks like there's trails in here that are kind of hazing out. They're going to head over to Europe. If there are trails in here, I can't see any obvious lines because there's a lot. All right, guys. Oh, man. I'm still just like blown away by the India thing. It is now 5 minutes to midnight. I'm going to go sleep. You guys have a good day, and thanks for joining for the show. See you next time.